Secret Agent Krasnov. Have you guys ever heard of Secret Agent Krasnov? Secret Agent Krasnov is actually the KGB's name for Trump.
Oh.
And this happened a few days after that disaster there, the Oval Office, when Zelensky was in office there. And that the big show there. And this guy's just questioning, I think it's head or ex-heads of the intelligence agencies. And this is when he's a Democrat, but I think he's a senator or, yes, U.S. senator. So I watched this and it made me go on a little deep dive about the...
You, Mr. Lando, is President Trump a Russian asset?
And our viewers see this?
Absolutely not, Senator. He's the President of the United States, duly elected by the American people.
Well, the reason I ask is many people back home have been asking me this question. And they say, if he was an asset, we would see exactly what he's doing now. For example, he proceeded to forward or express from the Oval Office propaganda that has been Russian propaganda, that Ukraine started the war, that Zelensky is a dictator. Second of all, he gave away key things on the negotiating table before the negotiations even started, ensuring U.S. would absolutely oppose any possibility of NATO membership for Ukraine. Third, he's cut off the arms shipments to Ukraine, completely undermining their ability against a massive neighbor next door with short supply lines and huge resources. Fourth, he's undermined the partnership with Europe, which has been essential to security over the last 80 years, a major goal of Putin's. And then he's done everything to discredit and dismean Zelensky on the international stage with the just shameful press conference in which he teamed up with the vice president to attack Zelensky. I can't imagine that if he was a Russian asset, he could do anything more favorable than these 5 points. What else could a Russian asset actually possibly do that Trump hasn't yet done?
Senator, the president has made it absolutely clear that his top priority is to try to bring peace and end an absolutely savage war. I know you're familiar with the savagery. This is turning into World War I style trench warfare now in eastern Ukraine. The president is an exceptionally...
So in the end, he's basically saying if somebody was Trump or the president was a Russian asset, he's pretty much doing exactly what things a Russian asset would do.
Right.
Right? So, do you guys know what a Russian asset is? A Russian asset is not like an agent, like a special agent. An agent knows what he's doing, right? An asset is more like an informant or someone who does actions for you, but a lot of times unknowingly. He's just someone like a spy agency grabbed on, has leverage against him or something like that, and gets information stuff. So, and Trump, I even said it last time, like Russia must have something on Trump to always be like this with Russia. Always this friendly relationship and always this to never put down Russia, always doing the opposite. And I did a deep dive, and there's actually a lot of clues and a lot of evidence that yes, he could possibly be a Russian asset.
Hey everybody, thanks for sticking around. If you're loving this content, hit the like button and subscribe and join to our awesome community. Ring that notification bell so you'll never miss a beat. Together, we're building something so special. Let's grow this channel and let's have some fun along the way. For some more content, check out these other fantastic channels. You got Check-in Habs, one-stop shop for all those things. Habs, sports, we got so much information on sports, guys. Come on. Hello. Checking accounts. Dive into the world of finance and economics, baby. Let's go. Big money. So that's it, fam. Come and check us out.
Like, do you have any questions before?
No.
Okay. Sorry?
No, continue.
Vince, can I go? Is it okay?
We're still in a free country, brother.
So, a while back, there was... Right now, I'm going to... an ex-KGB agent. Okay, this guy was called Alner Musayev. This guy, Alner Mazanev, okay, he wrote it in Russia, but he claims in 1987, I worked in the 6th Department of the KGB on the USSR in Moscow. The most important area of work of the 6th Department was the acquisition of spies and sources of information from among businessmen of capitalist countries. It was in that year that our department recruited the 40-year-old businessman from the USA, Donald Trump, nicknamed Krasnov. Okay, yeah. So this ex-KGB, and this guy was an ex-KGB agent. He's not some guy. He's claiming this.
Dating this back to 87. This happened.
That's when he recruited them.
That's when he recruited them.
As an asset. And he posted this on the 20th of February.
Right.
Okay, there's this other agent, Yuri Shvets. He was the subject of a book about back in the day, the KGB, the spy days and stuff like that. And
he wrote the book?
He didn't write the book.
Okay.
The person who wrote the book interviewed him.
Okay,
got information about the KGB back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a quote from this guy. Okay, for the KGB, it was a charm offensive. They had collected a lot. This is all about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
They had collected a lot of information on his personality, so they knew who he was personally. The feeling was that he was extremely vulnerable intellectually and psychologically, and he was prone to flattery. And for sure, we know that. Like, he loves being worshipped, okay? This is what they exploited. They played the game as if they were immensely impressed by his personality and believed that this guy should be the president of the United States one day. It is people like him who could change the world. This is stuff they were feeding him, okay? They fed him these so-called active measures, sound bites, and it happened. This was a big achievement for the KGB, these active measures at the time. So he was like a success story for the KGB.
But just like a guinea pig, like clearly they're looking at him like vulnerable.
He was vulnerable financially,
right?
Also, intellectually, he wasn't. I don't think he's a smart guy.
Him. They saw right through him.
Yeah.
They throw him a few
They
compliments.
knew how to manipulate him. He was an easy target.
And this guy's gonna bend.
Also, Christopher Steele. Okay, he was an MI6 agent. You know what MI6 agent is? Mm-hmm. That's James Bond, buddy. That's James Bond. Okay, this is the guy that's created the Steele dossier that started that whole Russia investigation in Trump's first term. But in his dossier or whatever, he claimed that Russia had incriminating information on Donald. He just didn't have the actual
information.
Item, but he said he knew, like, obviously it's his investigation, but he knows he was very confident that Russia had incriminating information on Donald Trump. That's an ex-MI6 agent. So in the spy world, there's 3 links over there. Okay, business-wise. Okay, Trump over the years developed a lot of business relations from people from Russia, people connected to the Kremlin. Okay, this guy Felix Sater. This is Felix Sater. Okay, he was a Russian American mobster, convicted felon, and real estate developer. He was actually an advisor in the Trump organization.
When?
2015, he was still working with.
Okay, so under his first term.
Oh, before he was president. So this is a convicted Russian American mobster. Okay, he worked in the Trump building. He was an advisor to the Trump organization. You can also say stuff like he held Miss Universe pageant in Moscow. He was always trying to pursue hotel opportunities in Russia. So he had a connection with Russia business-wise. Also, Trump, he shows this image of the most successful businessman, but most of his life, he was not a successful businessman. He actually went bankrupt multiple times in his career. And a lot of times, it was Russian money who bailed him out from these bankruptcies. There's an allegation.
Where do you get this? Where do you get this information? Russian. I'm asking. Is Russian?
I check all kinds of articles.
Okay. So it's Russian. Okay, that's a fact that it's Russian money.
It's allegations.
Allegations.
It's allegations. Okay, it's not fact. Like, but the fact is, Felix Sater was convicted of convicted felon, and he worked in the Trump. That's fact. Okay.
I'm just asking.
Okay, these are allegations, but it's true that a lot of Russian mafia, with ties to Russian intelligence, bought a lot of Trump real estate. That's a fact. A lot of Russians bought a lot of Trump real estate. They bought a lot of condos, a lot of office space. They didn't even use it. They just bought it.
In the States, right?
In New York, all of Trump's towers. It's alleged that they were doing that to launder money. Okay? And it's alleged that Trump knew about this, but it's alleged. But it's true that a lot of Russian mafiosos...
They were buying off that real estate.
Yes. That's, I want to say, links from Trump and business, mobsters, and ties to Moscow business-wise, okay? Now, I want to point out a lot of these examples, and so many examples of Trump defending Russia, always defending freaking Russia, okay? So in 1987, that's when they first met him, and they kind of made him a target and called him Krasnov. When he came back from that trip to Moscow, he did a full-page ad in New York Times, or I don't know what it was, the New York Times, a full-page ad, okay? And he's talking a lot about, kind of like what he says now, but in that time he's talking about Japan, about why is the same words he's saying now. Why are we supporting Japan? We shouldn't. Why are we getting ourselves involved? Why are we subsidizing this, and why are we helping the military? That's, if you want to read it fast, it's basically, it's talking about that. Like, why are we military supporting these people? But why Japan? I don't know. So I looked into it. In the 1980s, U.S. was pressing Japan to help stop the Soviet expansion in the East. Japan was an ally to the U.S. at that point, and they were pressing Japan, like, help us, like, stop the expansion of the Soviet Union. Back then, they were expanding, and they pressed Japan. I don't think they did, but they were pressing Japan at the time to instate sanctions. $6 billion worth of trade. So $6 billion back in the 1987 is like $15 billion of trade
for sure
from Russia. Basically, not buying Russian oil and stuff. They were pushing that, and because Japan, they were allowing U.S. military to be at beyond Japan in the bases, and also the Navy allowed to parole around the Japanese islands. So isn't that coincident that this was happening on the world stage, and he pulls out this out of nowhere? All of a sudden, he's saying we shouldn't be supporting Japan. He basically is doing Russian talking points. Okay, right after this trip from Moscow. All right. Another point. July 25th in 2017. So basically, he was president for like 5 months. Okay, Congress and Senate, which were both Republican. Okay, these were Republican Congress and Senates. They passed a bill to impose sanctions on Russia as punishment for meddling in the 2016 elections. Okay, guess what? Trump signed it. The deadline. This was July 25th. The deadline was October 1st for him to sign it. He signed it 4 weeks after October 1st. The whole time, I remember this time, people were asking reporters stuff like, when are you going to sign it? Oh, I don't think we should be too hard on Russia. He was just always like, he didn't want to do it. He was
pushing it?
He didn't want to impose sanctions. He was always like, I don't know, I don't think we should do it. It's Trump, not Trump. Russia should be our ally. We shouldn't do this to them. That's a sign, always defending Russia. Always defending Russia. Do you guys remember the Helsinki incident? You guys don't know what happened? This was during the time.
Was it a bombing?
No. It was the
agreement. No, so Helsinki
agreement? It was the first. I think, not sure, but I think it was the first time Trump met in person. But I could be wrong.
Okay.
But it was one time that they met. They had a press conference. Hey, sorry if I didn't show it, guys. This is the front page, not the front, but whole page ad that Trump took on the New York Times in 1987.
There was no collusion at all. Zero collusion.
Could you name a single fact?
So they were asking, this is the time when people were like, Russian colluded in the elections, and like, he's a, like, and you have to understand, the FBI and the CIA, they all concluded that Russia did, they messed around with the elections through propaganda, media, misinformation, through social media and stuff like that.
Our relationship has never been worse. That changed as of about 4 hours ago.
4 minutes ago.
4 minutes.
Meddling, that was the word I was trying to think of.
Has never interfered and is not going to interfere into internal American affairs, including the election process.
President Putin, he just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
Strong and powerful.
Said no.
So all his intelligent people said he did it.
But he believes
But Putin, I believe him.
He said no.
He's strong and powerful.
He said no.
Okay, but I don't think he did it. I talked to him for an hour. I believe him.
Hold on.
Recently, the UN, they want to do a resolution condemning Russia and identifying Russia as the aggressor of the war. Okay, everybody voted with it except who? U.S., Iran, North Korea, and Russia. Now we're voting with these people. That's he'd rather be in the group with those people rather than his allies that he's been with. Well, not him, but U.S. has been with for, like he said, NATO's 80 years around. We all saw how he treated Zelensky, okay, calling him a dictator, claiming that he started the war. We all know how Trump treats his allies, how he's been treating Canadians now, how he's treating Mexico, how he's threatening Greenland to take over Greenland, how he's threatening to put sanctions on the EU. We know how he's treating allies now, right? Here's another clip I want to show you guys. When Trump talks about Canadians, so look what he says about Canada.
You're tougher with Canada than you are with some of our biggest adversaries.
This was recent, huh? This
It
was
was like this week, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's meant to be our 51st state. And
Okay, but
but listen to this for a second.
We need their territory. They have territorial advantage. We're not going to let them get close to China.
Look, I deal with every country, indirectly or directly. One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. The people that, this was Trudeau, the people that good old Justin, I call him Governor Trudeau, his people were nasty. And they weren't telling the truth. They never told the truth. You know that, they'd say, well...
That's coming from a lot. They didn't tell the truth. That's coming from him. That's a lot, man.
Well, they do. They charge tremendous. And if you look at dairy products, what they've done to our farmers, I'd go up to Iowa, I'd go up to different places, Nebraska, and they would always complain about Canada, how they get ripped off. Do you know that Canada has a 250% tariff? 250. Nobody knows that. They charge us numbers that are crazy. We have a very big deficit with Canada. And there's no reason, much more. We have much more. Just so you understand, we subsidize
I don't think
Canada.
so.
And I like Canada. I love Canada. I love Wayne
now
Gretzky.
the liberal guys.
I love Canada.
See, he loves Wayne Gretzky.
Next election, most likely. And they were down and out.
don't
Isn't that
care.
going to be make a and possibly
I'd
open
rather
the
deal
door
with a liberal than a
for
conservative.
China closer to Canada, and that would really put us in a bind.
The conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal actually with a liberal, and maybe they're going to win, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me at all.
So your end game is what with them?
My end game is I don't want to have a big deficit. I don't want to see the United States of America, and you say 60 and I say 200, but it doesn't matter. I don't want us to pay 60 or 200 billion dollars to a country that if they were a state, think of this, he would be our biggest, most beautiful, it would be great. This state, it would be cherished. We'd take care of it. The people would pay half what they're paying right now. Canada pays very little for defense.
I like this.
I'd like to pay half of what I'm paying.
What?
We protect them.
We protect them. We protect them. Do you know in NATO they pay less than anybody else?
I got the wrong. I think I took the wrong clip. But at one point he says that Canadians they're nasty negotiators. I hate negotiating.
Yes, I heard about that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I picked the wrong one. But he said that in this interview that the Canadians are nasty negotiators. What I want to point out: did you hear that Trump went on the phone with Putin and apparently negotiated a ceasefire deal?
Yeah,
but just for infrastructure, like he made a deal.
Energy companies.
Energy
How does that make
structures.
sense? How does that make sense?
That's the deal. He said he made with Putin for now. A ceasefire for that. Not bombing hospitals, but electrical grids or whatever. Yeah. And he touted that. He negotiated. He made a deal. You know what happened? Like the very next day,
He backtracked, Putin.
150 drones. Hours after agreeing to partially cease fire with Russia, Ukraine wakes to a scene of fiery devastation. Russia attacks on Ukraine despite its propaganda statements. Do not stop. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky wrote in the post alongside images.
And then you have to blame Zelensky for asking what he asked in the Oval Office 2 weeks ago, where he wants guarantees. He'll sign that treaty that he wanted him to sign, but give him guarantees that Putin won't go back on his word like he just did, right?
Yeah.
Like,
listen, hold on. Okay. Zelensky also has to take a little bit of blame for it. You're dealing with a megalomaniac, right? Why are you challenging him?
He's not challenging him.
Why you challenge him? Why are you getting... Mr. President, you're very good, but just get what you need, take the money and run. Shut up.
He wasn't challenging him. He wasn't challenging. He was asking for guarantees when she wasn't giving him.
Yeah, but he was getting a little. He was challenging him a bit.
I don't agree with that.
They had to like beat their chest, and it was an embarrassment. But I was like, dude, you're dealing with a psychopath. You're dealing with a major narcissist.
Really wrong time.
You're gonna sign something without getting a guarantee that you're gonna do this, and then Putin's gonna come back and still attack you.
I agree with you, but if I'm dealing with somebody who's crazy, I'm not going to challenge you. I'm going to talk to you in the most respectful way that I can.
He did. The thing is that
He
Zelensky
challenged.
was also accusing him of being a liar, and that was the message he was trying to get across in that thing. And Trump would keep diverting and being, well, the whole dictatorship, well, maybe you shouldn't, be going up the wrong tree or whatever. And he just wanted to acknowledge that this guy was a liar and he lied about a few things, and just acknowledge that, and let's move on to next things. And I found the little bickering. It looked very grade schoolish.
Why are you bickering with Trump? Like, seriously.
Live TV.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody
and
sees
he couldn't
this guy,
acknowledge that. So I think that set Zelensky off when he couldn't acknowledge that.
No, what set off was when the guy Vance said we should do like diplomacy. And the guy said we tried diplomacy and Russia didn't want. That's what set him off.
But that's true. Yeah, but JD was being that little
You saved this discussion for after,
right?
So, guys, we've discussed about.
But how do you want to save it for after? The guy's not going to sign something if they don't agree to give him some type of security, some of insurance.
Do it afterwards.
He has the right to say, listen, you want me to sign this?
Of course he has the right.
Give me some assurance that I'm not going to get f***ed over here.
Live on TV though. Live on TV.
How is that challenging? He has a country that he's leading. He has women and children that are getting killed every day.
Trump should have took them out. Should have took Zelensky out to dinner before he fucked him. That's what he wanted. That's what he was upset, man. He was cranky.
So
my point was, he was calling Canadians nasty negotiators.
Yeah.
He negotiates with Putin. And then he f***s him over, but he doesn't say anything to Putin. He's a nasty negotiator, but Canadians are nasty negotiators. That was the point I was going to make with that.
Oh, yeah.